A handful of dried chamomile flowers cost 40 cents. A pinch of dried lemon balm costs 30 cents. A teaspoon of dried valerian root cost 60 cents. A small spoon of dried passion flower cost 40 cents. A few crushed lavender buds cost 20 cents, combined in a single ceramic mug, with hot water poured over them and a saucer placed on top to trap the steam. These 5 plants made the nerve tea that every American grandmother brewed in the hour after supper. For a tight chest, for a racing head, for a body that would not sit still, for the kind of long, quiet evenings that came after a hard day in the field. The factory or the family home, 5 ingredients. Less than $2 for a month of nightly cups. No prescription, no insurance card, no follow-up appointment, no side effects warning the length of a paperback novel, no copay, no refill schedule. Before 1955, this was not an alternative. It was not a wellness trend. It was not herbalism. It was the kettle on the stove. Every American kitchen, urban, rural, coastal, mountain, kept a tin or a glass jar of dried herbs above the sink. The mixture was passed from mother to daughter for over 200 years. Then, in the spring of one calendar year, a single corporation released a single tablet. And within a decade, the kettle on the stove was gone. The global anxiety medication industry generates nearly $20 billion a year. In the United States alone, the figure exceeds $9 billion. Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Bristol Myers Squibb, and Abbevie collect a combined share that pays for entire research divisions, marketing departments, and corporate skyscrapers in cities your grandparents never set foot in. The average American prescribed an anti-anxiety medication spends between $1,000 and $3,000 a year on the medication itself. The prescribed visits, the lab work, and the follow-up appointments. Without insurance, a single bottle of brand-name benzodiazepine can run between $300 and $400. With insurance, the copay is smaller, but the system pays the rest. Either way, the money flows. Every month, forever. Open the medicine cabinet of the average American adult today. You will find at least 1 prescription bottle in the lower shelf. In many homes, 3. In many more, 5. Generalized anxiety, social anxiety, panic, sleep, restlessness, mood. A separate bottle for each. A separate prescription for each. A separate refill cycle for each. Over a 10-year period. The average prescribed adult sends $12,000 to $20,000 to the pharmaceutical industry just to feel calm at the end of the day. Over a 40-year working life, that figure can pass $80,000. $80,000 spent on tablets that did not exist before 1955. Replacing a tea that cost $2 a month, brewed in a kettle that already sat on the stove. The $2 tea has no marketing budget, no sales representatives, no FDA filing, no advertising on the evening news, no glossy magazine spread, no commercial during the football game. It has chamomile, it has lemon balm, it has valerian, it has passion flower, it has lavender. It calmed Americans for 2 centuries. It still does. The reason you do not already know this is not because it stopped working. It is because a $20 billion industry cannot exist if you do. Every dollar you spend on an anti-anxiety prescription is a dollar extracted from a problem that your great-grandmother handled for 40 cents. The entire business model depends on one thing, that you never brew the tea she brewed. In May of 1955, Wallace Laboratories, a subsidiary of Carter Products in New Jersey, brought a small white tablet to market. The compound inside it was meprobamate. The brand name printed on the bottle was Milltown. In the first month of sales, Milltown moved $7,500 worth of product. The company's executives were nervous. They had bet on a category that did not yet exist. There was precedent for a prescription drug whose only purpose was to calm an otherwise healthy adult at the end of an ordinary day. By December of that same year, sales had reached $2 million. By 1957, Milltown was being passed around at Hollywood parties like peanuts. The cocktail Miltini appeared on menus, replacing the olive in a martini with a chalky white tablet. New Yorker cartoons featured the pill. Greeting cards joked about it. Doctors wrote prescriptions on demand. Within 36 months of launch, Milltown was the first true blockbuster psychotropic drug in American history. The advertising machine that followed was unprecedented. Pharmaceutical companies, which had previously sold their products to physicians through quiet medical journals, discovered that an entire population would line up for a tablet if you simply told them every sleepless night, every nervous afternoon, every long week was a medical condition. The framing changed almost overnight. What had been called nerves, what had been called restlessness, what had been called a hard week, was reclassified into a clinical category that required a prescription, a refill, and a billing code. By 1960, Milltown was being replaced by Librium and then Valium, the first benzodiazepines, which were marketed even more aggressively. Roche Pharmaceuticals spent more on Valium advertising in the 1970s than any drug had been advertised before. The home herbal tradition that had sat on every kitchen shelf for 200 years was not outlawed. It was not disproven. It was simply drowned. Under a marketing budget that called it old-fashioned, primitive, and inadequate, the 1938 Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act had already laid the groundwork. Under that law, any plant compound sold with a health-related claim could be reclassified as an unapproved drug. Herbalists who had operated openly since the colonial period were quietly pushed out of the legal trade. By 1962, the Kefauver-Harris Amendment expanded the FDA's power further. A grandmother giving her daughter a written list of bedtime herbs was committing no offense. A neighborhood store selling those same herbs with a written instruction card was breaking federal law, not banned outright. Just never mentioned again in any home economics textbook printed after 1958. Never referenced in any women's magazine after 1962. Never included in any list of common household remedies a doctor would offer at a checkup. The University of Pennsylvania, the University of Maryland Medical Center, and Memorial Sloan Kettering have all maintained quiet research files on these same plants. The studies exist. The traditional uses are documented. The papers are peer-reviewed. They are simply never quoted in any television advertisement that ends with a list of side effects read at the speed of an auctioneer. The system has 5 components. Every one of them is available at any grocery store, health food store, or online herb supplier in America for a combined total of less than $2 per month of nightly use. Here is exactly what each plant is, how it was used, and what it cost the average household before 1955. Component 1. Chamomile flowers, Matricaria chamomilla. Asterisk. A 1-ounce package of dried chamomile flowers costs between $2 and $4 and contains roughly 30 servings. That comes out to less than 15 cents per cup. Chamomile is the most widely used calming herb in the recorded history of Western medicine. The flower contains a compound called apigenin, a flavonoid that binds to receptors in the body associated with sleep and relaxation. The same flower has been used in European, Egyptian, and American households for over 4,000 years. The Romans drank it. The Greeks documented it. The Pilgrims brought it to Plymouth in 1620. Every American farmstead from the 1700s through the 1940s grew it in the kitchen garden. To brew it the Depression-era way, place 1 heaping tablespoon of dried flowers in a ceramic or glass cup. Pour 8 ounces of just boiled water over the top. Place a saucer or small plate on top of the cup to trap the steam, which holds the volatile oils that would otherwise evaporate. Let the tea sit for 10 minutes. Strain. Drink slowly. In the hour before bed. Component 2. Lemon balm. Melissa officinalis. A 1-ounce package of dried lemon balm costs around $3. Roughly 40 servings per ounce. Less than 10 cents per cup. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family. It has been cultivated in monastery gardens since at least the 9th century. The herb was brought to colonial America by German Lutherans, Pennsylvania Dutch, and English Puritans, all of whom carried the same domestic tradition. The dried leaves contain rosmarinic acid, citronellol, and geraniol. These are the same compounds that give lemon balm its faint citrus scent and the long-recorded reputation as a settling herb for the body and stomach. Lemon balm was the herb most often paired with chamomile in the American home tea tradition because the two complement each other. Chamomile is sweet and floral. Lemon balm is bright and lemony. Together they cover the full range of the palate and the body. To use it, add 1 teaspoon of dried lemon balm leaves to the same cup that holds the chamomile. Steep them together. The tradition was always a blend, never a single plant. Asterisk. Component 3. Valerian root. Valeriana officinalis. A 1-ounce package of cut and sifted valerian root costs between $3 and $5. Roughly 30 servings per ounce. About 15 cents per cup. Valerian is the strongest of the 5 plants. It has been documented in Western medicine since the 2nd century, when the Greek physician Galen wrote about it by name. The root contains a class of compounds called valerianic acids, which interact with the same receptor system that modern benzodiazepines target. The mechanism is not identical, and the effect is far gentler, but the tradition is over 1,800 years old. Valerian was the herb that American grandmothers added to the nighttime tea when the day had been particularly hard. A funeral, a family fight, a child sick, a bill the family could not pay. Half a teaspoon of the chopped root went into the cup with the chamomile and the lemon balm. The smell is earthy and sharp. The taste is acquired. But the tradition is older than the United States, a note. Valerian is potent. Use a small amount, only in the evening, and never with alcohol or with prescription sedatives. Component 4. Passion flower. Passiflora incarnata. A 1-ounce package of dried passion flower leaves and stems costs around $3. Roughly 40 servings per ounce. Under 10 cents per cup, passion flower is the only one of the 5 plants that is native to North America. The Cherokee, the Huma, and other southeastern tribes used the dried leaves for restlessness and for sleep long before European contact. In the 1800s, American physicians wrote about it openly in the United States Pharmacopoeia. It was an official, recognized remedy from 1916 to 1936. Then, in 1936, the entry was quietly removed. Not because the plant had stopped working. Because the pharmacopoeia was reorganizing around the synthetic compounds that the new pharmaceutical industry was preparing to launch. The plant has been in the American medicine cabinet since the colonial period. It was simply, in one revision cycle, taken off the official list. Add 1 teaspoon of dried passion flower to the same cup. The flavor is grassy and mild. Component 5. Lavender buds. Lavandula angustifolia. Asterisk, a 1-ounce package of dried lavender buds costs around $3. Roughly 50 servings per ounce. Under 6 cents per cup, lavender finishes the blend. It is added in small amounts because the flavor is intense. A single pinch, no more than a 1/4 teaspoon, is dropped into the cup with the other herbs. The compound responsible for the calming effect is called linalool. It is the same compound found in the essential oil that has been distilled in the south of France since the medieval period. Lavender is the only one of the 5 plants that was just as common in American homes for its scent as for its tea. Sashes of dried lavender went into linen drawers. Fresh stems were tied to bedposts. The tradition crossed the Atlantic with English settlers and stayed in American kitchens for 3 centuries. The full Depression era nerve tea. 5 ingredients, less than $2 per month of nightly use. 1 tablespoon of chamomile, 1 teaspoon of lemon balm, half a teaspoon of valerian root, 1 teaspoon of passion flower, a pinch of lavender, 8 ounces of just boiled water. Saucer on top, 10 minutes, strain. Drink slowly. Remember, the prescription bottle costs $300. This costs 60 cents. Walk into any 1930s farmhouse in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Walk into any kitchen in the Ozark Hills of Missouri. Walk into any tenement apartment on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. You would have found the same wooden shelf above the sink. A row of small glass jars, dried chamomile flowers, crushed lemon balm leaves, cut valerian root, loose passion flower stems, a folded paper cone of lavender buds. This was not regional. It was universal. From 1776 to 1955, 179 years of American domestic life, these 5 plants were the household nerve cabinet. Every grandmother had her own preferred ratio. Every region had its local variation. But the bones of the tradition were the same in every corner of the country. The Pennsylvania Dutch called it the evening cup. The Appalachian families called it nighttime tea. The Shaker communities of upstate New York grew the plants on a commercial scale and shipped dried packets across the country by mail order between 1830 and 1920. The Shakers were the largest seed and herb supplier in America for nearly 100 years. Their catalogs are still archived at Hancock Shaker Village in Massachusetts. The blends they sold are listed by name. The same 5 plants appear in every European household tradition. The Germans drank chamomile and valerian for sleep. The French distilled lavender. The English grew lemon balm in every cottage garden. The tradition is not American. It is human. It spans every continent that has a kitchen, a kettle, and a long evening after a hard day. It was the most universal calming tradition in recorded human history. And it took less than 15 years of pharmaceutical advertising to push it off the kitchen shelf in the country that had practiced it longest. For under $2, 5 plants, 1 ceramic cup, and 10 minutes after supper, you can brew the same nerve tea that calmed American households for almost 2 centuries. Starting tonight. No prescription, no appointment. The same 5 herbs that sat on your great-grandmother's shelf will sit on yours. The complete system, including exact ratios, sourcing notes, regional variations, and the full Depression-era home remedy cabinet is linked in the description below. It covers nerves, sleep, digestion, coughs, and every common household ailment your great-grandmother handled without a pharmacy. Tomorrow, this channel will show you the exact bathing system Americans used before 1955, why the daily shower is a marketing invention, and how the body wash industry built a $15 billion habit on a tradition that did not exist before the post-war boom. Every product in your home once had a zero version. They buried it. Now you know.